Alright, hey guys. So my name is Ross, and today one of my buddies hit me up and he was like, how would I do a serpentine belt on my 2004 Nissan Sentra? Well, I told him that the tensioner has a little pin, and I figured not a lot of people know about this little thing that is built into the tensioner. There's a little pin you can slide it in, and I'll be showing you guys how to do that on the first generation, the second generation, and the third generation. The third generation QR is the only one that is different. The first gen and the second gen, the tensioner is the exact same. So those two are going to be identical. The only one we're going to be going after that's slightly different is going to be the third generation QR, which uses slightly different tools. The tools you're going to be needing for this is going to be a 14mm wrench and a little pin. And I call it a pin, but it's a bolt. I'm sure they make like a factory or a real tool to do this. I just use a bolt because it ends up helping me out in the long run. So let's get to it. Alright, so firstly we're going to go over, this is a first gen QR, and on this motor, that is the tensioner I'm talking about. And if you look back there, you can see those two holes. That's the pin, or where you're going to pin it. So that's the first generation. This is a second gen motor that I have built up, and if you look, that tensioner is exactly the same style. You're going to use a 14mm on there, 14mm on there, and this is the third gen QR. The third gen QR is slightly different. I don't know how you would do it inside the car, but it requires a 17mm. It's got this, or I guess you could use the torque head, but I'm going to opt to use this. It is way different. It has two notches on the side right there, if you can see, that allows you two different options on it where to lock it. So I'm going to give you an example. If you were working outside, I would use this type of tool. It's a long 14mm wrench, or you could use just a regular one if you have the ability to do so. Basically, it's just gonna go like this on there. Oops, give me 1 second. Alright, so take two. Basically, what you're gonna end up doing, it's gonna be kind of hard to do it with one hand here, but you're gonna get that lined up like so. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but that's lined up, and when you do that, you're going to slip in that pin. So I'm going to take you guys away for a second. And so it just pops in. Make sure you go all the way through like that. Then it allows you to let go. This will allow you to take off your belt and put on a new one after you get done replacing your alternator, your AC, whatever you're replacing. But when you put your belt back on, if you leave that bolt in there, you can still get a little bit more out of it. So that way when you're putting on that belt, you have the extra room. This works for both first gen and second gen QRs. The third gen, like I said, is the only one that is different, and I can show you guys over there how to do that one in a second. Actually, I'm going to show you that in order to just get this out, you just put your tension back on, and then you let go, and the belt just slips on like that. It's going to be a little harder inside the car, but you guys get the gist of it. Now for the third gen, like I said earlier, it is the only one that is different. And I don't know exactly how you would do this inside the car, other than it is a 17mm on there, and same concept. Pull this back. You have those two slots to slip the bolt in. So there's one there. It's lined up, and then there is 1 second.
2. Now you have those 2 slots to put the bolt through.
Okay, so that concludes the differences on the tensioner and how to use those locking pin locations on both first gen, second gen, and third gen. Like I said throughout the video, third gen is the only one that's slightly different. It requires a 17 instead of a 14 millimeter, and it does have like a hex key on there that you can use, but I'd imagine inside the car it's going to be relatively difficult to get a hex key in there, and you'll probably end up stripping it out. So I would just stick to that 17, and it does have those 2 locking positions. Hope you guys learned something from this video, and have a wonderful Father's Day. Bye.